Morning. Morning. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is April 4th, 2024. The time is 9:11 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. My colleagues on today's parole panel is Mr. Steve Prater seated to my left, Mr. Chuck Utila seated to my right. I'm going to ask the staff here at headquarters to please introduce yourself for the record.
Parole.
All right, thank you. Our first remote location this morning is at St. Tammany Parish Jail. Would the officer please introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Deputy First Class Molinary.
All right, thank you, sir. And we have, is this Mr. Henley?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Henley.
Good morning.
Mr. Henley, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your DOC number, please.
My name is James Henley. My number is 761445.
All right, thank you, sir. And are you looking at a parole revocation questionnaire?
Yeah, I'm looking at the paper y'all sent.
Is the parole revocation questionnaire, is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated December 13th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Based on the information or your answers to those questions, you're not eligible for appointed counsel today. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Henley, I'm going to read the allegations against you, and then I'll ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then after we get through the charges, we'll have a discussion with you. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Prater. He'll take the lead on the interview. So you ready to get started?
Yes, ma'am. One question, please.
Okay.
My wife was supposed to be part of the hearing.
We have her listed. Is she on this? No, she logged out. We're going to try to get her. She did log in, but she's logged off. So we'll call her. That's Kathy Henley.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And she indicated she wants to speak, so we'll try to reach her, but we're going to go ahead and get started, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
She'll pop up. You should be able to see when she joins us. So, Mr. Henley, you're accused of violation parole, specifically condition number 4. It's listed as 4D. It says on December 1st, 2023, you failed to refrain from the illegal use of drugs or alcohol. You were located at your primary residence about 10 a.m. and were asked when you last drank any alcohol. You stated, I may have had a beer last week. When asked again when you last drank alcohol, you stated you may have had one yesterday. You were given a breathalyzer test, which showed 0.15 blood alcohol content. Upon further questioning, you admitted to drinking a 16-ounce beer that morning. How do you plead to that violation, 4D?
I'm guilty.
Okay. Then there's one listed as 4E, which says on December 4th, 2023, you failed to refrain from the illegal use of drugs or alcohol. You were located at your primary residence at about 1:30 p.m. and were asked if you drank any alcohol. You stated you had not drank alcohol and were given an alcohol test with breathalyzer, which showed a 0.07 blood alcohol content. When further questioned, you stated, okay, I had one beer last night and admitted to having one beer this morning. How do you plead to violating condition 4E?
I plead guilty on it, but I had
Yeah, we can talk about it when we
Okay.
start asking questions. You can explain.
All right.
We have number 7, which says you had failed to truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to you by your parole officer. At monthly contacts on December 1st, 23 and December 4th, 23, you were asked if you'd been drinking and you lied, stating you had not drank alcohol. However, when pressed, you admitted to drinking the day of that contact. So how do you plead to violating condition number 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
And then last is condition number 10. You last made a payment to your supervision fees July 7, 2023. You're currently $778.50 in arrears on those fees. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
Guilty.
Okay, all right. Do you have Miss Henley on the phone yet? We're trying to get her now, so we're gonna go ahead and start with our interview. When she joins us, we'll allow her to speak. Would you, your prayers, questions?
Ma'am,
Good morning. How are you?
good morning.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you just a moment to find out. You know, part of what we do here is determine if a person is willing to follow the rules. And of course, you didn't follow the rules, the reason you originally got arrested, and then you were told that you needed to do certain things in order to abide by that, and you didn't do those things. And then you served some time and you got out again, and then you were told not to do certain things like drinking,
Okay.
and you were to pay your money, and not to lie. And so it appears that you really have a problem following rules. And I'm trying to figure out what we can do to assist you in figuring out how you're gonna live amongst free people that are not in a jail. How are you gonna live and follow the rules? Do you have anything to say about that? Can you tell me why you have such a problem following rules?
Yes, I didn't drink I wasn't like a slush or drunk. I wasn't drinking like that. I'd had a beer every now and then, and I had told Mr. Everly that. And in July, the reason why we went in the rear on the payment to the parole fees, is me and my wife was in a real bad car accident, hit by a semi truck. After the accident, it was bad. After the accident, I had told Mr. Everly that, but things are gonna be tough right now, Buzz. It was all kind of stuff going on after the accident. And I had explained to him that I would be slow on paying it, but I also told Mr. Everly, me and my wife told him made sure he understood that at the first of this year, we were going to catch it all up and get everything done. But that'd give us enough time to get back on our feet, get back going, have a vehicle. And the drinking the beer is, I've drank beer for many a years, and I know that I wasn't supposed to, and I had something I wanted to read to y'all, but I wasn't, wasn't mad at Mr. Everly or nothing. I had a beer. At first I wanted to tell him I didn't, but I couldn't stand there and keep doing that. I had to tell him the truth, and he knew that because he would stand there and talk to me. And so I told him that we would that I would start some AA, and we had looked up for some classes to go to that my insurance would pay for. And the morning that he locked me up, that's what me and her was in the process. We done had to found the classes and everything. We were fixing to leave. If he had not come when he did, I'd have been gone to Mandeville to the about the AA meeting and the alcohol class. And he knew that. He seen us. We was out back on our patio, and not one time have I done anything like me and my wife argue. We just don't do that. We've been together 39 years, And I drank a beer, but believe you me, this right here, it got my attention. This ain't not. And then she told me about a scram device. Then my wife told me about that a few days ago. I didn't know nothing about it. I had an ankle monitor on since the day I've been on parole. I've not even left St. Tammany Parish. I have not failed any drug test that he's given me. I've attended every class he's told me to attend. I've done everything I could. The only thing I did was I had drank a beer. And I told Mr. Everly that. Never once has he seen me doing this. Never once has he found it in my house. I had a beer. Most time it's during a football game is when I've had a beer. And that would be on my patio on my backyard. In my backyard. That was it. And Mr. Everly, I understand his job and everything. I know that I signed a thing stating that I would refrain from drinking alcohol. But the first time, and I had read on the thing, I said the first time, he gave me a 3-day sanction. And then the second time, he gave me a 10-day sanction. And I had read, I said, well, if I had known about the scram device and all this, then I'd have went that to that extent if it had kept me from drinking a beer. You know, if that would have been what I needed to not drink, that's what I would have done. You know, just to prove that I can go without drinking a beer and do the right thing. You know, but after that accident, it was tough for me and my wife, you know. We didn't have car payments and stuff then. We don't owe bills. The only bill I owe is I owe this parole fee. Me and my wife, that's all we owe. Our bills is always paid. And then we come up with now we got a new car payment. Now that I'm locked up, you know, it's limited now just because she's by herself and she's on a fixed income.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let me just ask this for my own benefit. Back when you originally got in trouble for the serious charge, back when was that, 95? When was it?
It was a felon to register charge.
Yeah. Before that, whatever caused you to require to be registered? Okay, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I don't want to get into a lot of details about that because that's not what today is about. But at any point during that entire process, did you ever state or admit or discuss that you had been drinking during that time?
Oh yeah, I was like 23 years old. Yeah, I not at the present time, but I did. I did drink beer then.
Okay, were you drinking beer when the offense occurred that you were found guilty of?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
That's all I need to know about that. Okay, fast forward back to the rule breaking, and I'm really having a problem because I read your wife's letter and talking about the fact that you drink, you know, part of the response to drinking is the wreck and all of that.
Yeah,
it
because
it sounds like you got a real problem.
I had quit drinking for a while.
But it sounds like if you're saying, and you earlier said that you'd wear a scram bracelet if that's what it would take to get you to stop drinking beer. So that tells me you can't stop on your own. So which tells me also that's a problem.
Yeah, I need to go to AA and stuff. I need to make sure I attend that. That's just part of being responsible and being a responsible adult. I understand this. And my wife, you know, bless her heart, she don't drink, you know. So she wants the best, and I want the best too for the both of us. You know, we've been married 39 years. So, you know, and she asked me today when I talked to y'all to, you know, and I said, if this is what it takes to prove that I'm going to follow y'all's rules. And I had quit drinking a while. I don't drink whiskey or nothing. I quit drinking for a while, and then I started back drinking. Then I quit, you know, went back and forth for a while, you know. So then after the accident, I started drinking beer again. So
it sound like to me that you'd be the textbook case of denial, and
right.
That's what I need.
Mr. Henley, would you consider yourself an alcoholic?
Well, yeah, I would.
Well, I think so. You said you quit drinking for a while, but you really didn't quit drinking because you were drinking in the morning and your officer asked you about it. Why did you lie to the officer initially?
Well, at first I wanted to, I said no, and then I stand there talking to him, and I just couldn't, I had to tell him the truth. You know, I didn't even feel right by telling him no. You know, he knew this. Me and Mr. Everly, he knows this.
Okay. We have your wife on the phone. She's on the phone. She had trouble getting in on Zoom. Ms. Henley, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
All right. Is there anything you'd like us to know? Would you like to speak on your husband's behalf this morning?
Yeah, I do believe that he really wants to stop drinking, and we've done discuss that. We're going to get, we have we weren't going to church, but I'm trying to find a new church that we both feel comfortable in. And he's good. Like I said, he's a good guy. He does drink, and I'm proud of him. This is the first time he's ever told me he wanted to go to AA. I mean, I got faith in him, and I'm willing to do anything that he needs to get done. And I know there's other things that we can do around here in the community that will help him get into, not wanting to drink. Because he's been doing it for a long time. He had a lot on him when he was younger.
Mhm.
Being the sole provider of his after his dad died. And it's just bump after that. And I really do have faith in him this time that this truly the first time he's ever admitted to me that he's had a problem.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a good step then.
And when we get done with the parole, like hopefully within the next year, our grandkids don't live close, but we do have some that live close in Mississippi. And they love him to death. They talk to him on the phone and all kinds of stuff. And they just want to see their grandfather do right.
All right. Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you taking the time to call in and tell us these things. Mr. Henley, anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am. I just hope that if given a chance, if it takes wearing the scram device or whatever it takes, that I'm able to go home and me and my wife can, because we're going to do it. We're going to do this together. We've been doing it 39 years. We're going to do this together. And she's my 100. I love her that much, and she's really been at me about it. And if that's, I'm going to do everything I can. And I told her, I said, I don't even know what it costs, but I would like to have my freedom and be given this chance. I know I haven't been perfect. I haven't been, I know I haven't been perfect, but I'm telling you, this is a wake up call right here. This since December the 4th, this is a wake up call. This is bigger than I've had in a long time.
Okay, sir. I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Prater will be voting first.
I made sure you get the vaccine.
Okay, I don't really have much problem voting to revoke. I just don't, I think you've got a problem that you're not admitting to on your alcohol. I think you admitted to us, but I just, that's my vote.
Mr. Tiller?
I concur.
I agree, Mr. Henley. You were correct. I noted that you had the ankle monitor, you were doing the sex offender treatment, but you really have not faced your alcohol problem. And so my vote today also is to revoke, and I'm going to make a strong recommendation that you be afforded some inpatient DOC treatment. And you'll have an opportunity to come back before the board once you complete that treatment. But you need the treatment. For us, it's not about getting out. We got to get out and want to stay out. You do right at home. Today, sir, your parole's been revoked. That concludes our business in St. Tammany. We're going to sign off at 9:29.
It's one time.
All I can do.
Keep your head up. They'll revisit it another time.
Oh, yeah.
Take your classes, do what you gotta do. I'm Michael Rowe, all you can.
All right.
All right.
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is reconvening. We are at Ouachita Parish. Today is Thursday, April 4th, 2024. It's 9:37 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. Yeah, we got it. My colleagues on the panel this morning, seated to my left is Mr. Prater, to my right is Mr. Tillis. Our remote location, as I said, is at Ouachita. Would the officer there at Ouachita please introduce yourself for the record?
My name is Sergeant May.
Sergeant May, thanks for accommodating us this morning. And we have Ms. DUNMARS there before us.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
My name is TIARA DUNMARS, DOC number 719-360.
Yes, correct. I want to acknowledge some folks we have here with us in Baton Rouge at headquarters. We have Kiva DUNMARS, your mother, and Nikita Stevens, your sister, who are here in support or just observing this morning. Here on Zoom, you should be able to see we have Kendall Lamont, who will be speaking on your behalf, Isaiah Orange and Otis DUNMARS, both of whom will be speaking on your behalf. We also have a whole list of people who are observing on YouTube and are here in support. First, Ms. DUNMARS, I'll read some identifying information into the record, and then I'll ask you to confirm it, and then we'll start our interview process with you. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on the interview. Once we finish our questions, we'll ask Sergeant May about any information she can provide, and then we'll hear from those folks who have indicated they want to speak on your behalf. Before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement also. Okay, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. DUNMARS, how old are you?
I'm 34.
And how long have you been in jail?
11 years, 10 and a half years, I'm sorry.
So let me just, read the identifiers. You're classified as a first felony offender. You were sentenced in East Baton Rouge Parish for a conviction of manslaughter. You're serving a 15-year sentence on that conviction. Your parole eligibility is September 8th of this year. And your adjusted good time date is March 13, 2025. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So we said you're 34 years old and you've served how much time?
10 and a half, 11, close to 11 years. Yes, ma'am.
Almost 11 years of your 15-year sentence. Okay. And did I read the record correctly? Are you a veteran?
Yes, ma'am.
And well, thank you for your service.
Thank
I noticed you were medically discharged. Do you have any medical conditions?
It's a pituitary adenoma. It's a tumor. It's not cancerous.
Good, but it was, you weren't able to complete your tour of duty?
No, ma'am. I had the option to have surgery. However, the surgery could have possibly ended in it being cancerous, and I was afraid to do it.
And you're doing well now, so that's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're in work release now,
Yes, ma'am.
and you've been there for how long?
2.5 years. Just made 3. I'm sorry.
3 years. So, and you've maintained that same job for all that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Same employer?
Yes, ma'am.
So as I mentioned, you're serving time for manslaughter. Your original charge was second-degree murder.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you enter a plea agreement for the manslaughter charge?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the victim in this matter was 23 months old. What was his name?
Justice.
Justice. What was his last name?
Cheatham.
Cheatham. And so you had a co-defendant in the case also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That would
I'm
be
sorry.
Justice's mother. So let me just continue. We have the facts. I'm not going to ask you to go through the facts of what happened. We have all those details and what happened. We also have opposition in the record that's been expressed by law enforcement and the prosecutor's office. The victim's father, Justice's father, has said he is unopposed to an early release. and I thought we expected him today. He's not here today. I want you to tell us, considering how well you're doing in work release, and considering the opposition that's been expressed, and considering the proximity of your good time release date, and also considering the plea deal you made, why do you think we ought to vote favorably for you today?
I believe that I should be granted favor, not because like I know the reality of my crime is, be it viewed as being intentional or accidental, it's a crime that, you know, it's not deserving of favor. However, I would like mercy because I did love my son, and I would like the victim's family to know, same as my family, to know that you know, I did love him, and I would have never intentionally, you know, committed this crime, and I would do anything to have him back. I do seek their forgiveness as well, same as I've sought the forgiveness from my family. I still struggle accepting the fact that God forgives me, because he forgives everybody. It's a daily struggle that I do face. I know this will be a burden that I carry for the remainder of my life. And it's been something I've been trying to not face. And I'm in a situation now where I'm, you know, forced to face it. And, you know, I know it's time that I do so. Like I said, I'm sorry. I believe that I should be, because, like I said, I know that it's definitely not deserving based off the nature of the crime. But I really am a good person and a loving person and a genuine person. I'm honest. I'm hardworking. I always have been. I don't believe that my crime defines me. I just want to prove that I'm not my crime.
So I noticed in your record, and I want you to expand a little bit on something you said. You said you're in a situation now where you're forced to face it. What does that mean?
Like now that I'm facing the board, I stay busy. I try to do things that keep my mind occupied, to stay in a positive mindset, to take courses that, you know, teaches me to view things differently. And thinking about, you know, my case and my situation, it's not something that I like to reevaluate on a daily basis, like relive the moment. Like when you asked me earlier what was his name, I realized just in saying the name how much this still affects me. And though I've talked about the situation before, though I've dealt with the situation before, I realized that it's still something, like I said, that still bothers me. So that's what I was referring to. Like I'm facing the situation right now again, like reliving it, talking about it.
Okay. And I noticed that you do have some good programs in your record. You substance abuse, Celebrate Recovery, and anger management. Tell me what you got out of anger management.
What I got out of the situation is I believe that I've always been a pretty, you know, accountable person. However, sometimes I tend to be pretty thin-skinned. And what I mean by that is like I get defensive when I feel like, you know, I guess viewed a certain way. And I know it played a major role in the situation of me being here. I believe that when this situation first happened, I spent so much time defending what didn't happen that, you know, I didn't, you know, face the accountability of what did. And, you know, the classes pretty much taught me to face those situations, to deal with those situations, to acknowledge, you know, my wrongs in situations and to handle them differently.
Yeah, you mentioned in one of the letters I saw from you that this all resulted really in your lack of patience.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell us what you do at the Best Western.
I'm a front desk representative, a front desk clerk.
And that's the job you've had for years?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I originally started out housekeeping. I would fill in other areas around the hotel. And within maybe a year, they promoted me to the front desk.
What's your transition plan whenever you get out of jail?
I'm sorry. I plan on paroling to either my mom or my sister's address. I do have some jobs that were possible job alignments. I have a couple friends of the family, one who has a cooking business. I have another friend of the family that has he's working for Turner's Industry. I previously worked for Turner's before. I have a friend that works for Chart Industries. I would actually prefer to work there mainly because she's in touch with the plant manager, and I have a certification in welding, so I would like to pursue that certification.
Mhm. And what about your Ashland University work? You're almost finished with that, or have you done that?
Yes, ma'am. I actually graduate next month in Ashland.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
So you plan to return to Baton Rouge? You're not going to keep your job that you have?
No, ma'am. Like I said, I plan to pursue the welding because I did get my certification in it. I do want to be able to, when I get out, be able to help my family. I already spoke with a VA representative, if I'm not mistaken. Her name was Miss Borderline. She's pretty much going to help me out in any other areas that I would need assistance in as well, as far as mental health, as far as someone to counsel me and things like that.
Well, that sounds good. You've been giving them a lot of thought. Let me ask, any questions?
Sure, she's answered. That's your question.
I have one question. When you were talking, it struck me that you said whether it be accidental or intentional, it was a horrible thing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Was it accidental? Or was
Yes,
it
sir. It was accidental. Yes, sir. The reason I said be it viewed as like accidental or intent, I know everyone, you know, people view the situation in different aspects as they're allowed to. And I just pretty much was stating despite how it's viewed, I know that it's a situation that, you know, it's a horrible situation either way, because an innocent life is not here.
Miss Dunmore, I have it spelled two different ways. We'll hear from the folks who want to speak on your behalf. I gotta process what you just said. So we have, let's hear from your brothers first. Could we hear from Isaiah, please?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. What would you like us to know, sir?
I would like y'all to know, throughout these years, he had been in prison. I'm sorry about my video as well. I don't know how to make it work. But me and her actually built a very good relationship, probably better than we had when she was out of prison, to be honest. I looked up to TIARA, and I ain't like, me and Otis ain't really have a father figure like that talking about. But TIARA was like that to us. She helped us with sports. That's the reason we good at sports now. I have a 5-6-year-old son. I actually named him after Justice. I inspired TIARA, like, you know, just to honor TIARA because she was a great parent. I kind of, you know, as far as, you know, helping her when she get out, I got out. I can help her with my business, my football team. We got, I can't really say. But I'm sorry, sir.
All right, Mr. Orange. Well, thank you for speaking to us. Could we hear from Mr. Otis Dunmars?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Well, like my brother said, we didn't really have a father figure. So, like he looked up to my sister. I did as well. I learned basically everything from my sister. Like she taught me how to dress, how to pick up girls, sports, like everything. Like, and with her going to jail, it was really hard on me because like she like that's my best friend. Like, and I really just couldn't focus. Like I lost track of a lot of things. Like I don't know until I recently just started back talking to her, and she just made me get back focused, helped me understand that life ain't gonna always go the way you want it to go. Just keep pushing, and she the reason I actually got this opportunity to pursue my dreams in football in the IFAA. Like if it wasn't for her, none of this would be possible. Like I honestly just miss my sister, and I wish she could be a part of this. And that's it.
Sir, we appreciate it. Could we hear from Kendall Lamont, please?
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Kendall Lamont. I have been the owner of Pop and Puddings Catering since 1996. Me and Tiara's mom, Kiva, have been friends for over 33 years. Kiva has helped me with my business over the years, with my catering. And as far as Tiara, from knowing her from growing up, she's always been a loving person, caring person, always willing to help, to go the extra mile to do whatever with her friends, her family. And as far as my business, she would be a great asset until she would be able to pursue the opportunity that she wants to do as far as welding. With my business being as popular as it is now, I could really use her until she's able to get into the field that she wants to get in. But as far as Tiara, like I say, she's a great worker. She's a people person, and she would be a great asset to my business.
Good. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your input.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sergeant Bay, is there any input you can give us?
Well, just like I said in my letter, Tiara's been with me for 3 years. I run the women's work release here at OCC, and she's been with me for 3 years. I don't know what she was like 11 years ago, but I know what she was like when she came here, and I watched her grow for the last 3 years. Every time I walk through that dorm, if she's not at work, she's sitting at the table studying. She's been in school almost the entire time that she's been here. She has just worked to better herself since she's been in here, and I watched her do it. It's not very often that you see an offender come in here and be here for 3 years at the same job and then work so hard to get it. I feel like she must have a master's degree by the time she gets out of here because she's been in school for so long. But she hasn't done anything but strive to be better since she's been in this program. She has a peaceful spirit in the back. I've never had any kind of confrontational issues out of her. She's never been a problem since she's been here. And that is also a feat for someone who's been in a program like this for 3 years, surrounded by other people who are just struggling or trying to get by. She is very peaceful, and she, I believe, is doing everything she can to just be a better person.
All right. Well, good to hear. Thank you so much. All right, Tiara, is there a statement you'd like to make to us?
Yes, ma'am. I wasn't allowed to, contact the, victim's family and talk to anybody. But as I mentioned earlier, I definitely would like to one day ask them for their forgiveness, because as I stated earlier, regardless of how it's viewed, it is a negative situation, and it's one that I'm deeply remorseful for, and I do anything to do things differently, and I know that I can't, but I would like that forgiveness, and I'm thankful for this opportunity.
All right. Well said, Tiara. Look, I think you present very well today. I have some problems with some of the things you said because we have the record, we have the complete record, and this was not a one-time accident. This was something that happened over a period of time, according to the medical reports that we have. And that's what I have a problem with. You've had good programs. You've worked to address some issues you have. I don't think you're quite there yet. The opposition from the DA's office says, since your her good time date is only 6 months after her parole date, we think a good time release is more appropriate in this matter. And I tend to agree with the district attorney's office. So for that reason, my vote today is to deny your parole, and I do wish you well, though. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what you've done. And, but also I have to concur. I think the best thing to do today is deny.
Mr. Thames.
I concur.
All right, Tiara, keep your chin up, keep doing good. You'll be going home soon. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant May. I think that completes our business.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a revocation. I'm sorry, we have another case there.
Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good morning. Mr. Branch,
Yes, ma'am.
you introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name is Malcolm Branch, 487-230.
And Mr. Branch, do you have any paperwork there with you? You have a parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, ma'am. It's a parole revocation questionnaire.
Yeah, that's it. Is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated January 18th of this
Yes,
year?
ma'am.
Okay, based on that information, Mr. Branch, it's determined that you're not eligible for appointed counsel. So are you ready to proceed this morning?
I had misunderstood that question. Was that saying that I didn't need counsel or I didn't want it?
No, it says you're not eligible for.
Oh, okay.
Based on your answers to those questions, you're not eligible. You can understand the charges against you and you can speak on your own behalf. So you ready?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to read the allegations against you and after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then Mr. Prater will be asking you some questions. Your case has been assigned to him. When we finish our questions, if you'd like to make a closing statement, you'll be allowed to do so before we vote. All right, ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Mr. Branch, you're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, and it specifically says it's condition number 4. And it states you were arrested on June 20th, 2023 for resisting an officer and on a failure to appear warrant for a distribution of Schedule 1. You also were arrested on April 3rd, 2022 for domestic abuse battery and domestic abuse battery strangulation. On January 4th, 2024, the domestic abuse battery strangulation charge was dismissed and you pled guilty to count 2 simple battery and you were sentenced to time served. So how do you plead to violation condition number 4?
I plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, and then condition number 10, you're currently in arrears $1,197 on your parole supervision fees. How do you plead to that violation?
I plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay. So would you answer Mr. Prater's questions?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Branch, I had a couple of questions. One is that you were charged with domestic violence strangulation, and then that was just felony, and then you pled to a simple battery, which is a misdemeanor. The strangulation, there were marks on the lady's neck and on her face, and her sister said that it happened also. And I'm just curious, did it happen or not? Tell me about that incident.
No, so they was into an altercation and they was arguing. So I had went and sat in the living room, and I guess my friend, she felt like I was taking her sister's side and she told me to get out. So I just left. I don't know what she told the people, but I know she had went to the courtroom and signed the affidavit saying that she was lying. So I don't know. I had just left.
Okay, but why do you think that she would have told the police? Why do you think the sister would have told the police the same thing she told the police and that you did it all? You think they called the police on each other or something, and then since you weren't there, they changed their mind?
Oh no, sir. It was just I wasn't there. So I don't know what transpired. I just know that she had went to sign the affidavits when I went to jail saying that she was lying.
Okay. In May of 23, you called your probation officer to check on the status of the warrant while you were out. You called to check on it, and your probation officer told your parole officer told you, yes, you did have a warrant on you. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then when they finally arrested you in June, several weeks later, you were charged with resisting in addition to what the warrant said. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the resisting. Tell me about the resisting.
Okay, the resistance, sir. I've been, for the last couple of years, I've been trying to get my name right. And the reason he gave me a resisting arrest because I gave him a Louisiana ID with my real identification, which is Malcolm John Ross, and that was the reason for the resisting arrest. since I've been in jail, I've been going through the courtrooms trying to get my name back right because I can't support my family under branch because I can't get an ID. And anytime I get a job, I have to get paid like under the table, sir. And that was my whole mission. I was trying to get my name back right. So I had Louisiana ID, that's which is still in my property. That was the reason for him giving me a resisting arrest. So I don't know.
What's your real name?
Malcolm John Ross.
So you're not Malcolm Branch.
No, sir, that's not my government name. No, sir. I've been incarcerated under that name. I've been trying to get it right for the last couple of years, but I was still on parole.
Why didn't you turn yourself in when your parole officer says you got a warrant for you? Why come find you?
I had a lot going on, sir. I ain't gonna lie. I had a lot of family issues. I had my first son's mom had passed on a car wreck, so I ain't know how to handle it.
Okay, because I noticed we didn't make a big deal out of that, but I picked up on that seemed like if you was trying to do right, you'd have turned yourself on in. Did you ever get arrested for possession of marijuana while you were out on parole?
On this time, yes, sir.
Okay, that's also a violation of number 4, but I noticed that wasn't included in some of the stuff. That's kind of went under the radar. We didn't really talk about that a lot, but so that's another problem. But do you know anybody in California?
Yes, sir.
Did you go to California while you were on parole?
No, sir.
You never did.
No, sir.
And I saw you look away there a little bit. You didn't go out there and talk to a detective didn't talk to you out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you did go and you absconded, and that's a violation of something. And so, I seem like you have problem with rules and problem with, okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Shells, any questions?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Branch or Mr. Ross, I don't have any other questions. Anything you want to say to us?
Ma'am, I'm just asking for another chance, ma'am. I've been going through a lot since I've been out of jail. A lot of deaths in my family. My daughter's pregnant, already a grandfather, and I'm incarcerated. I can't help. I just been going through a lot. That's all.
I understand that. We all do. That's just part of life. I think we're prepared to vote, Mr. Crater.
Deny.
I concur.
So my vote also is to revoke. Mr. Branch, you pled guilty to violating conditions number 4 and number 10, and you admitted to that you lied to Mr. Crater. So today, sir, your parole is being revoked.
So excuse me, man, do I get credit for me being on the street or no?
I don't do time. I can't give you that answer, but you'll get a new master prison record. So we're going to sign off at 10:12 from OUACHITA.
See, I told him about my real name. He ain't
No, we're on. They can literally hear us. Hey, Max. Can you do that? I don't see why not.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Committee on Parole, we are reconvening in, at Bayou DORCHEAT. Is that where we are?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. My name is Cheryl Renatza. My colleagues on today's parole panel, seated to my left is Mr. Prater and to my right is Mr. Tillis. It is Thursday, April 4th, 2024, and it is 10:23 a.m. We have one case there, and sir, would you introduce yourself for the record? I'm going to see Mr. Max, how you pronounce your last name.
Yes, ma'am. KAZNOWITZ.
KAZNOWITZ. And tell us your first and last name and your DOC number.
Max KAZNOWITZ 740309.
And I see we have lots of staff in there with us this morning. So with the staff there at Bayou DORCHEAT, please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Deputy Holloman. I'm today's audio-visual deputy, just facilitating the meeting.
I'm Lieutenant Kyle Cummins.
And I'm Jason Johnson. I'm the director of the Louisiana Sex Offender Treatment Unit.
Good to see you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. KAZNOWITZ, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. I'm going to get to the right page. I ask you to verify that information, and then we'll have our parole interview with you. And your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on the interview. Let me acknowledge, I think you see him on the screen, or you should be able to see him on the screen. We have your mother, Miss Anita, and your sister, Susie, who are here joining us by Zoom, and they want to speak on your behalf, and we'll call on them at the appropriate time to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. KAZNOWITZ, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence. You were sentenced initially in January of 2019 to 7 years for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You are given probation, however, that was revoked for a new felony conviction in July of 2019 for possession of methamphetamines. You have a parole eligibility date, which was March the 16th of this year. You don't earn good time, and you have a full term date, which is December 15th of 2025. Is that all sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Before I get started, I want to ask you some questions related to substance abuse. Were you using heroin, painkillers, or other opiates before your incarceration?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your drug of choice?
Heroin.
Did your substance use contribute to your incarceration?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have a sobriety or relapse prevention plan in place for whenever you get out of jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll ask you about that. Okay, let's see. So, how long you been in jail?
5 years and 4 months.
So almost 5.5 years of your 7-year sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you are classified as a second offender. So the first offense was the sex offense.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, according to the record, you were about 30 years old at the time of that offense.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old was the victim?
I think she was 14.
And we got a letter from you that claims you were on drugs due to an ankle injury.
Yes, ma'am. I just had my ankle reconstructed. I was ran over by a car. So I was on Dilaudid at the time.
You were drinking?
That also.
This was the day you had gone fishing?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in your letter, you claimed you only touched her in one area, but the record doesn't confirm your story.
Ma'am, yes.
Her story don't match, but maybe you don't remember because you were loaded.
Yes, ma'am.
It?
Ma'am.
That'd be it?
I mean, I might have. I really don't recall the most of the day, but I do.
All right.
I do know that I did.
That's all I need. And then, one day after you were sentenced for the sex offense, I think you were arrested for violation of a protective order.
That was actually during court.
And so what happened there?
I asked the mother why they were trying to ruin my life.
And you were to have
Grandmother.
contact with the victim or her family.
Yes, it was the grandmother, not the mother. It was the grandmother at court.
And what would make you do that?
I was just upset at the time. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just really upset. A lot of it had to do with the probation office. They were telling me that they were pushing it and all sorts of stuff, and they wanted to give me parole, but then probation, but then she kept pushing for it to put me in jail, and that's why I asked her why she was trying to ruin my life.
Well, you did get probation, didn't you?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
got a 7-year sentence. It was suspended and you were placed on 3 years active supervised probation with special conditions.
Yes,
And one
ma'am.
of those conditions was probably the protective order.
Yes, ma'am. I guess I didn't know honestly that.
Listen, I
Yes,
don't,
ma'am.
I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
stating the facts right now. So you have multiple arrests in your record, 2004, 2005, again, 2010, that would indicate a substance abuse problem, driving under the influence for those
Yes,
arrests. And in 2018, there was drug paraphernalia. And you know, when I look at your record, we get some pretty extensive information as we prepare for these cases. And as I look at the record, I see where while there at BAYOU DORCHEAT, you did complete part of the sex offender treatment program.
Yes, ma'am.
And so phase 1 and 2, I think it's called.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't finish that program. Why is that?
They needed me to work at the auto shop. It was an institutional need, I guess, is how they worded it.
Okay. And so what did you get out of the first 2 phases?
I did the risk factors. I learned about just not putting myself in certain situations that I put myself in. The drugs, the drinking, the denial. I shouldn't deny the things. I shouldn't blame everybody else and everything. I needed a lot of that.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because just from our conversation this morning, it seems like you're putting some blame elsewhere also. So I noticed, I mentioned the driving under the influence arrest. You and I have talked about your substance abuse after your ankle injury and surgery and what have you. Have you ever had any substance abuse treatment?
No, I was going to take one here, but they had put me at the auto shop because of that.
Yeah, okay, into the job. All right, well, I want you to know, I guess they really need you because we do have quite a few letters in our record from the folks in the automotive shop and the operations division. I think we got one recently too from Lieutenant Cummings there. Sergeant Carter from the sheriff, Sheriff Parker from Major Reynolds, and Captain Tucker all speak very highly of you and your work.
Yes, ma'am.
You must be good at what you do.
I try my best at it.
So let me just tell you what I'm thinking, Mr. KAZNOWITZ. I think you need to finish the sex offender program and substance abuse treatment.
That's fine. I agree with that also.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Okay, that's all the questions I have. I don't know, my colleagues have any questions?
Tell me about the day that you showed up at probation and parole and you were on meth and you had meth in your car.
Okay, it was I got sentenced the following day. The next day after I got sentenced, I went to the probation office and I was telling I know this sounds bad, but I was telling myself I'm gonna get high one more time before I go on probation because I know I would have to be, done with everything. And I did too much, I guess, and they saw that I was high, so they asked to search my car. They went in my car and they found a little piece of meth about. It was just a little piece, but it was actually this might sound crazy also, but this was one of the best things that could have happened to me. If it wasn't for this, I'd have never learned about the situation. I'd have never learned that my self-worth. I would have never learned that I could do it without being on drugs. So.
Good to hear you say that.
No questions.
All right, let's see, we have, we'll hear from your family. We do have the victim has dialed in, Miss Haley, and we'll hear from her at the appropriate time. But first, we'd like to hear from your mother, Miss Anita. Miss Anita, we did get your letter and we know how proud you are. You indicated very eloquently how proud you are of his accomplishments. So what else would you like us to know this morning?
I had not seen Max happy since he was a child, but now I see him as he even smiles. So he has made dramatic changes. He's had great role models while being incarcerated at every stop of the way. And he wouldn't be who he is if he weren't in there. I have a new place that I bought a piece of property and a trailer on, and we're ready to see him home and enjoy his life. He has plans which he had never had before in his life. He now has plans for his future. He has a brand new profession, having learned there while there, and it's with the police cars and how to set the lights up. And now in the automotive shop, he's really flourished. And it's a tremendous change. And he's my rock. And he's a positive person. So he's kept me going through all of this. And the change from the first day to the last day, he's never been angry or upset, honestly, that he's shown me. But now I see that he's pretty much happy and positive and planning to the future with me and Susie.
All right, thank you. Susie, would you like to say some words?
Just to add to what she said, I feel like sorry, I didn't realize this would be so hard. I feel like there's two different kinds of people when they're incarcerated. There are the ones that are angry and show a lot of resentment and never own up to what they did. And then there's ones like Max, sorry, who have taken this and made a positive out of it. He's grown tremendously. You know, he's become the man that we always knew he could be. You know, I know he had a terrible past, and that is a lot to do with drugs and alcohol. And we're 100% committed to giving him and having him earn the support and all the resources that he can to continue on this positive path and be, you know, a positive citizen for Louisiana. So, and I did want to add that I work for North Shore Humane Society, which is a humane society in Covington. And when an animal gets adopted, our, you know, saying, our happy ending is that we'll never see them again. They'll have a great life and they'll move on to better things. So I did want to mention that we hope that you guys never see him again. And we appreciate your consideration and your time and considering him for parole.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you both for joining us this morning. Miss Haley, could we hear from you now, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you pronounce your last name?
Haley Wilson Vernell. Vernell was my father's last name. It's French.
Vernell. Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you like us to know?
I would like you to know that although from what I've heard, it sounds like he is doing better, which I'm glad of. But however, I do think there's more that he can do while he's in there. Maybe take some sex offender classes and, you know, get some more help, because you can get as much help. You can always have more help. And I do think that would be good for him to take some sex offender classes and some AA drug abuse classes. I think that would be really good, because the fact that I was 12 years old having to go to a court case and still have not even heard him admit that he did what he did is hurtful, and it has been haunting me. I had a daughter. I have a baby of my own. She's almost 3 months old. And looking at her, I see this case and I think that there's something more that can be done here. Because I mean, I get it. He's doing better. That's amazing, Your Honor. Trust me, I'm glad he's doing better, but I do want him to get some more help before he gets released. Because I have had years of counseling, years of healing from everything that he put me through. And I know it was all in one day, but the dragged on court cases, continuance after continuance, was stressful on me at 12 and 13, Your Honor.
Well, Haley, thank you so much for taking the time to dial in and speak with us this morning. It's very admirable, your remarks. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor, of course. Like I said, I do hear that he's doing better. I hear that what he said, how he's changed and he's open to no longer denying. And I'm proud that he's doing that. That does make me feel good. That makes me feel better. But I do want him to take some classes before he is released. That is one request that I do have. Because it can't all be blamed on substances and alcohol. There are classes for him to take, and I would prefer he took those just so he can get extra help.
Yes,
Do you understand, Your Honor?
I do. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lieutenant Cummings, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, ma'am. So just to give you a brief history of me, third generation law enforcement, been with the sheriff's department now for 12 years, worked directly with inmates, currently over the automotive shop. Just to kind of touch on the classes that he has not taken, I will partially take the blame because he is such a benefit to our department. With that being said, I mean, being selfish, I would not like Max to see go, but from my situation, I can't speak on Max's past. I don't know Max prior to being here. But like I said, I've dealt with numerous inmates throughout my life. Max is not your common inmate. He's not your common person that you deal with. Do I feel that he's deserving? I do. Do I feel that half the department here, including Sheriff Parker, our previous Sheriff Sexton, they all feel that he's deserving of having a second chance. I can't vouch for what Miss Haley went through. Like I said, I don't know Max previous to here, but he is not your typical person. He's been in situations here to where, you know, he's with our work release dorm. And unfortunately, through the prison system, there's drugs, there's everything else that he does come in direct contact with that I have personally seen it set up to where, you know, Max had the opportunity to mess up. Max has had the opportunity to screw up while he's here. And he's took every situation and knows how to steer himself away from it. So he has all the tools. He has, in my opinion, all the tools to be able to avoid those situations. And I feel like live a productive life outside of here. And also, this is the first time that I've ever stuck up for anyone. And, you know, and whatever little bit of I can do to help. Like I said, he's been in situations here to where he knows. Sounds like he had a rough childhood, a rough past, and bad decision making, but I believe those times are behind him.
Good, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. And you're right, I don't think we've seen you before, so.
Right.
We take to heart what you said in the letters that are contained in the record. Max.
Yes, ma'am.
You heard, I want to ask you for your statement, but I want it stated on the record clearly that you indicated to me when I asked the question that I already knew the answer to. I asked you how old was the victim, and you said 14, and you heard, and the record will reflect that she was 12 at the time.
Okay, I honestly didn't know that. I thought she was 14.
Okay, so the better answer would have been, I don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the opportunity for you to make a statement to us if you'd like to do so before we vote.
I think a lot of it's been touched. I just want y'all to know that, you know, this was probably the best thing that did happen to me, offering me the classes and everything that I was able to accomplish and learning about my self-worth from being here. If it wasn't for this, I'd probably be 6 feet in the ground now. So y'all, the system does work for a certain few, and I believe I'm one of them.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that about 6 feet under, because I did make a note in my record that prison probably saved your life.
It did. If it wasn't for this, I know I would be, and my family would be without a brother or a son.
So I'm glad you recognize that. And so if I say to deny your parole, then Lieutenant Cummins gets to keep you working in the shop so you can train somebody else to take your place.
Yes, ma'am, that would be the situation.
Yeah, but let me tell you what I'm thinking. I'm going to go ahead and vote because you're my case, and I'll vote first. You know, I did take note in the record of the how well thought of you are there at the facility.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do believe that you need a little few more tools in your toolbox to help you be truly successful when you get out. And I've already kind of hinted at that. My vote is to grant you conditionally. I want to grant you parole conditionally based on the positive remarks by the sheriff and the facility staff. That's the sole reason for my vote. But only after you complete the rest of the sex offender class and the substance abuse treatment program. I think you can do those. I think Mr. Johnson has indicated perhaps you could do those simultaneously. So once you successfully complete those programs, you can go be released to your moms.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now, after release, this is some special conditions I want to add to your requirements. You know, you still have to comply with the contract, the sex offender contract. You know, you still got to do that. Whatever conditions may be recommended by the treatment program, you're to follow those recommendations after. You're to attend 2 AA meetings a week. You're to submit to regular random alcohol testing or drug testing by your parole officer. You're to have no contact whatsoever with the victim or any member of her family. And I want you to perform 4 hours of community service work each month.
Okay.
That's my vote. I'm just one. Mr. Prater.
I concur with that. And what impacted me the most was the victim statement, victim talking, and the fact that she was willing to go along with this as long as you got some more, took some more classes and got some substance abuse help, and you definitely need that. So I'll concur.
Mr. Tillis.
I concur.
All right, we're giving you a chance, Mr. KAZNOWITZ. Good luck to you. And look, as your sister says, we don't want to see you again.
You won't, I promise you that.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, I think does that conclude our business at Webster? Thank y'all for accommodating. We're sign out at 10:46.
So now what? Let's hang on for a second.
Sabari forward. It's all. You remember the season sauce? That's me cool.
All right, good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at Caldwell Parish Detention Center. It is Thursday, April 4th, 2024 at 10:52 a.m. And you are, sir, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number. Wait, y'all are on mute. Do you have a staff member in the room with you? Your microphone's on mute. There we go.
My name is Jude Robin, DOC number 714284.
Let me ask the officer in the room with you to identify himself for the record, please.
My name is Sergeant Kennedy.
Okay, Sergeant Kennedy, thank you for accommodating us today.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Mr. Robin, let me read some identifying information into the record, and then we'll start the parole interview process with you. Mr. Prater, seated to my left, will take the lead. Your case has been assigned to him. Before we vote, you'll be allowed to make a statement. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Robin, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 7-year sentence. You were sentenced initially in September of 2016 for indecent behavior with a juvenile. You were afforded probation that was revoked on November 2nd, 2017. Your parole eligibility was January 19, 2020. You don't earn good time, and your full term is September 19th of this year,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay. Would you answer Mr. Prater's question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about getting revoked. What were you revoked for?
I was revoked for hanging out with the wrong crowd. Excuse me. Constant use of marijuana and not bearing the conditions of my parole, my probation. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you've had all of your sex offender training or your whatever you might call that, all of the classes that you need for your phase 1 and phase 2. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've worked hard at it. I successfully completed it.
Okay.
Also,
All right. And were you on any kind of drugs or alcohol when this offense occurred?
yes, sir. I was currently intoxicated.
Okay. So do you have a substance abuse problem?
Yes, sir. I successfully completed a substance abuse program here at Caldwell Detention Center.
I asked, do you have a problem? Do you have a substance abuse problem?
Oh, no, sir. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you, Mr. Prater.
Okay.
No, sir. I do not have a substance abuse problem.
Well, you were revoked because of substance abuse also, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you committed this offense when you were on some sort of substance, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you don't have a problem.
Not no more, sir.
I thought that in that AA and everything else, they tell you you're always, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. You just learn to deal with it. Is that not? So do you have a substance abuse problem?
Yes, sir. I learned to cope with it throughout the class of substance abuse and learn how to deal with it.
That's all.
So, Mr. Robin, what is your sobriety plan?
My sobriety plan is to go out and is to go back to society and complete other meetings if possible.
Wait, what you say? I'm sorry.
Complete other AA meetings if possible, and stay away from the alcoholic beverages and fight the urge not to use them.
So what do you mean attend AA meetings if possible? They're everywhere.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The meetings are everywhere. 24/7 you can find a meeting.
Yes, ma'am. I tend to for further help, I plan to attend further meetings to help me fully control the urge.
When's the last time you had a drink?
I ain't had a drink since I've been incarcerated now.
When's the last time you had a drug test?
It's been a little while since I had one. I'm sorry.
The last time you had a positive drug screen?
The last time I had a positive drug screen was I got revoked from my probation. That was back in November 2nd or 7th, October 6th, 17, when my probation officer revoked me.
All right. What's your conduct history look like? Your last write-up, when was that?
I ain't had one in the last 2 years. I ain't had one since 19.
Sergeant Kennedy, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Robin?
Yes, ma'am. Ever since he arrived here in April of 2023, he has not had no disciplinary issues, no write-ups. He has completed all of his eligible programs for here at Caldwell. He also completed his sex offender treatment while he was at BEAUJEAUX before he came here. And he was excellent in all of his programs. And that's coming from the teacher and stuff, all that. And he's actually in line to be a trustee here in the kitchen. He ain't been giving us no trouble at all.
Good to hear. What is your job now, Mr. Robin?
No, currently don't not have trustee status at the moment, ma'am.
So you're waiting for the trustee status. Okay. All right. Anything you want to say to us before we vote?
Yes, ma'am. I feel that I'm ready to go back to society and be there for my family and my little girl, which is 11 years old now. And I plan to go out, be a productive member of society and live to the best of my knowledge. I already have employment lined up if granted parole. And plan on going home and help my family as much as possible when they need the extra help around their homes.
All right.
And it's your full term date, you're gonna get out in September anyway, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so if we parole you right now, we could have certain sanctions or certain requirements on that. Whereas if you get out for your full term, then you don't. Like you're on your own.
Yeah.
Well, it'd almost be worth taking a chance on letting you get out 5 months early to demand that you go to AA programs for me, because I want to make sure that you understand. And I think what may be a communication problem here between you and I, as far as, do you have a substance abuse problem? I think you realize you do, but I'm not certain of that. But I want you to, my vote will be that you are granted parole with the condition that you go to, what's a reasonable number? week. Three AA programs a week. And that your parole officer monitor those and keep us informed to make sure you go to them. And well, I think that's the only hold that we got on you. And that's it.
Mr. Tillis?
Mr. Robin Talder, how old are you?
I am 33 years old, sir.
Do you remember when you started using drugs?
I was at the age of 16 when I started using drugs.
And how long did you stay on drugs when you were using them?
I stayed on them. I stayed using drugs until the time I was incarcerated. But since I have been incarcerated, sir, I've learned. I accept full responsibility of my actions, my past actions, and I have had time to reflect on them.
Yeah, he's voted to grant a special condition that we attend 3A.
I concur.
All right, Mr. Robin, you know, when I looked at your record, you were a definite no, but talking to you, I agree with Mr. Prater. I think that it's important that you be required to tend to your substance abuse problems. So my vote today would be to grant, along with my colleagues, to grant your parole and require as a special condition that you do attend 3 AA meetings per week. And I'd also like to add a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. if there's no objection.
No.
And that you have no contact with the victim in this case. Do you understand those special conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you've been granted parole, and that's based on for me, it's based on the positive remarks by Sergeant Kennedy. So good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
That concludes our business there at Caldwell. We're going to sign off at 11:03. Thank you, Sergeant Kennedy.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? You gotta unmute your phone.
Okay, is that good?
Yeah. You know I ain't got nothing but this done. I don't want the water with grip, but I don't be type of everything ain't supposed to. I'm about to kill on it. Don't say that, no, don't pick that on me, bro. Oh, man, come on, man. Breathe. Shit, you too. I'm gonna smoke it all.
Good morning. Y'all are still on mute. Do you have somebody in the room with you to unmute the microphone? Nobody's in there with you? Can you get them to come unmute the mic? All right, there you go. Officer, could you introduce yourself for the record?
Oh, I'm not the guy that's gonna be up here with him, but my name is Sergeant Griffin.
Is somebody supposed to be with him?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we are at TANGIPAHOA Parish Prison on Thursday, April 4th, 2024. It's 11:08 a.m. We have Mr. Garland, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
You introduce yourself, tell us your name and your DOC.
My name is GARLAND BEAUJEAUX. My DOC number is, I guess it's one on my wrist.
What is it?
2022
No, that's not it. That must be their number. Tell me your date of birth.
4/14/69.
Well, what are the last four digits of your social security number?
2963.
Okay, your date of birth in the DOC record says 4/19/1969. Were you aware of that?
No, I was not. No, ma'am.
Okay, but that is the last four digits of your social security number. So your DOC number is 775510.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. BEAUJEAUX, I'm going to read some information into the record. I'm going to ask you to verify it, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis, seated to my right, because your case has been assigned to him, and he'll ask you some parole interview questions.
Yes, ma'am.
We have joining us today, we have your sister Sheila Bowers and your daughter Nicole, who want to speak on your behalf. Can you see them on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to call on them at the appropriate time for their remarks.
Yes, ma'am.
First, you're classified as a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 3-year sentence You were sentenced in Tangipahoa Parish, December of 2022 for indecent behavior with a juvenile, 1 count. You have a parole eligibility date, November 2nd, 2023. You don't earn good time, so your full term date is November 3rd, 2025. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you answer Mr. Tillis, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. BEAUJEAUX?
How you doing this morning?
Doing okay. How long have you been, how long have you been in?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. How far did you go into?
I graduated from high school, 12th grade.
12th grade. Have you had any write-ups since you've been in?
No, sir.
Did you take any courses while you were in?
No, sir.
You didn't take any courses while you were in?
No, sir.
I guess they don't have them there, do they?
No, sir.
I got you. What do you think you're going to do should you be granted parole? If you get out, what's going to happen?
I'm gonna go home and take care of what I got to take care of in the yard and take care of the yard, go to church like I used to go and everything, you know.
This was something that just happened.
Yes, sir. It was a mistake. Yes, sir.
Feel a lot different about it now.
Oh, yes, sir. I've been here too long.
I see. I see. Okay, I have no more further questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Garland, the victim in this case is your daughter, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I've already indicated it was a sex offense, and you've not had any sex offender treatment.
No, ma'am.
All right, I don't have any other questions. Mr. Prater.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, well, let's see, Mr. BEAUJEAUX, we'd like to hear, so let me for the record state that there is opposition in the record. We have opposition from the district attorney, from the sheriff's office, and there was no comment by your sentencing judge. We'd like to hear from your sister, Sheila Bowers. You're still on mute.
Okay, what about now?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know.
Good morning, and I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to speak on my brother's behalf. I've been thinking about this all day, or all morning, all night. I've been trying to figure out what to say. There's so many things, so many good things I could say about Garland. How he is helpful. He's always helped people. It didn't matter what it was, what that needed to be done. He did it. And he was the most popular person in school. He ran with the popular kids. No one ever knew I existed, but he he's had some educational, with him being in SPED all of his life. He's had a hard time through school, but he managed to get through the 12th grade in special education throughout his whole years. He's had a lot of just, trouble with writing and learning, and, he's always had supervision as far as, helping him write, helping him learn, teaching him things. My mom, she has helped with his banking situation, his money situation, because he was on disability, and she was his payee. And at this appointed time, I just think he had a moment of weakness. We've been going to church. We was raised in church all of our lives, and he attended church. He was also an usher in our church that we attended. And he does a lot of go to community, and, if they needed help somewhere, like going to somebody to help out, he was always there to help. And I just feel as though that I've talked to him I've been constantly talking to him throughout this whole time. And he has shown many times of remorse, being remorseful for what had happened. Like I said, it was a moment of weakness for him. He would have never done this, but he had a lot going on at that time. And I just think it just crowded his judgment, and he did what he did, and not, and he realized what he did was wrong after the fact. So, if granted parole, the church community, me and my family, we have agreed to, we're going to try to help him. We're going to pray with him to be able to, strive to be better and to make sure that nothing like this will ever happen again. Thank you.
And thank you. We appreciate your sharing that with us. And Paul wants to speak also.
My dad was always there for me through tough times. And I really appreciate all he done for me this past few years. And I just hope he gets off on parole, because I really miss him. We all miss him as a family. And we've been praying too, as my aunt said. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Mr. Garland, is there anything?
Yes.
Yes, the sergeant's not in the room with you anymore, right?
No.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
I just sorry for what I done. I didn't mean it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you much, sir. Are we prepared to vote? I'll move for executive session. Can we roll call vote?
Joe Renaud.
Yes.
Steve Prayer.
Yes.
Chuck Tibbs.
Yes.
All right. Mr. BOJ will be in executive session for a moment to discuss confidential matters. We'll be right back. You just stand by.
All right. Thank you.
I'll just put a DB.
You just come to get my wallet, they give everything. So that's what we do. Yeah, so now, if you come your property, they release all your property. Yeah, it's not just, it's not of the, they release the whole kickapoo. There you go, my boss. Put the box on the back. Yeah, they'll just release wires from. Feel good. Feel good. Feel better. Put it out. Put a little bit of labor on it. Oh, look, trash can, bro. Here's the trash can, bro. Come with me, man. You. I know. Yeah.
All right, Mr. BEAUJEAUX, we're back in session and we are prepared to vote, and Mr. Tillett will be voting first.
I vote to deny.
Mr. Prater.
I concur.
Mr. BEAUJEAUX, my vote also is to deny your parole this morning based on the law enforcement opposition that I spoke about earlier. So today, sir, you've received a unanimous vote to deny your parole. We wish you well. Good luck to you, sir. That concludes our business. It's 11:26 a.m. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.